Hi, my name is Dave Reski, and welcome to this edition of In the Now, where we focus on uncovering the myths and misunderstandings of marketing and leadership with some of the world's most interesting people. And my guest today is Michael Brown, founder and CEO of N-Dash. Michael, you describe yourself on LinkedIn, at least, as a writer, marketer, and an entrepreneur who loves creating things from scratch. You founded N-Dash to help brands tell a more compelling, consistent story and to help the world's best freelance writers advance their careers. So you probably wrote that many years ago. Is that still true, or is it changed some?
No, it's held up pretty well. That is, been our mission from the start. We've been tempted to go into other, realms of marketing, but have, been pretty pretty disciplined staying in the content creation realm. So yeah, that has been the mission, and we're glad to say it still applies.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of your background and talk about N-Dash in a few minutes, but I just want to start by asking you to talk a little bit about content marketing. So obviously, N-Dash is in the content marketing business, and I want you to just think about what's a myth that you think people have about content marketing, and what's the reality in your experience?
Yeah, right now we're seeing a lot of, articles and ideas put forward where, content marketing is really, the long play. So paid acquisition is obviously very expensive, and the benefits go away when you stop paying for it. So there's this idea in the, going around that, content is the 4 to 5 year play for marketing teams. And that's certainly true. Like, if you create content consistently, you are going to get those SEO benefits long term. But we see a lot of brands, getting, really good results much faster than that. Um, so, this idea that you have to, start on day one and you're not going to see results till year 10. I mean, that's not what we're seeing. So I think that's one of the bigger myths that we're seeing dispelled pretty much on a daily basis over here.
Wow. So you can kind of
Yeah.
quantify the ROI of investment in content sooner rather than. Do you think that, realistically, do you think that's just marketing teams saying, yeah, we want to spend all this money, don't measure us for 4 or 5 years, and have the new guy who takes my job 5 years from now down the road be accountable for that? Or what do you think that's all about?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, you don't want to be judged too soon on these results. But I think, lately, we've been seeing a lot of emphasis on, distribution, on, building, various channels to distribute the content. So, I mean, I think as marketers get more familiar and see more success in those areas, that you'll start to see the expectations or the diminished expectations pulled back a little bit, and to start to judge some of the results a little bit earlier.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Well, so when we talk about content marketing, it feels like not all content's created equal, and your firm obviously helps people put together a wide variety of content. What do you think is most effective, and maybe going back to your schema, like most effective in the short term? And, is there something that's different that's more effective in the long term?
Yeah, I mean, for N-Dash, it's all about, insights and expertise. So there's a lot of, content agencies or platforms that are really geared towards, hey, we have this keyword, we need to write as much as we can on it, to rank for Google, and that's how we'll win. We're seeing, and it's really been the case, since the start, that, it's about the insights that you offer. So if the writer doesn't know, about the topic, or they're just researching it, themselves, it's probably not going to resonate very well with that target audience. It's a little too basic. So, anything where you can bring in, a writer's firsthand experience in a topic or industry, we see that perform really well, both for us and for our clients. So that's a trend I would expect to see, heightened over the next couple months or next couple of years, I would say.
Yeah. So it's the better quality content that really makes a difference. It's not just the quantity. Is there a quantity versus quality trade-off, or is it always really quality that wins?
No, there is a quantity trade-off. I mean, if you write one really good article per year, that's probably not enough to engage your audience and generate leads and all of that stuff. So there is some, some quantity to it. We see all kinds of different things. We see, companies that will do, 40 to 50 blogs per month. So I'm publishing almost two per day.
Wow.
That might be a little bit overkill. It's certainly overkill for most brands, but anywhere from 3 to 4 posts, per month. I'm just talking about blog posts. Social's a different animal. Email's a different animal, but that seems to be a cadence that both small and large companies can adhere to pretty well.
Yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
there's one argument for quantity where you think about SEO to get kind of visibility and to feed the rest of your marketing engine, to feed like the email strategy, to feed, your advertising strategy, et cetera. But then, your comment about like insights, it feels like there's a different type of content, or maybe it's just deeper content you want, if you really want to engage your reader and have them really read it and do something positive with it. I guess you
Yeah.
got to do both, right?
Yeah, you got to do both. I mean, in my former life, I was a content marketing manager for a software testing company, and I knew nothing about software testing. So there was, basically two types of content we would put out. There'd be the stuff that I would put out, which was just, me kind of finding interesting trends to write about. But then there was the other type of content where I would lean on like the experts. So I would interview, the notable authors and speakers in the space. And as you can imagine, that performed, much better, built a better brand reputation than the stuff that I just kind of came up with, on my own. So the, content marketer as journalist, trend has really taken hold, and you can kind of see that in the way that, some of these successful brands are putting things out.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
really cool. So, creating a lot of content is super challenging. And tell me about the N-Dash story. Like, what problem are you solving, and how did you get?
Yeah. So, for Ndash, there's three primary users. There's content marketers, there's agencies, and there's freelance writers. Before Ndash, I had been, in every single one of those roles. So I had been, a freelance writer, I had been an in-house content marketing manager, and Ndash was started as an agency. Um, so the goal all along was to build something, to build a platform, to build a community, to help these brands find, not just writers willing to do the work, but writers that had really deep subject matter expertise. So I started Ndash. I was a freelance writer. um, you know, got a, kind of a name for myself in the B2B tech space. Eventually hired a few writers, and then, really parlayed, all of that revenue and all of those profits into building the platform. So it was basically a 3-year journey from me just going out on my own as a freelancer to launching a platform. And that's what we've been doing ever since, kind of refining the technology, building the community, getting familiar with brands, and content marketing operations outside of B2B tech. So now we work with higher education, we work with science and medicine, all kinds of different verticals. So, it's been a kind of a crazy ride, but we're happy to be here, and happy to be, solving the same problems that, we started out.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk more about N-Dash and the problems that you're solving and how you use
Yeah.
it, but take me through that ride. So you're a freelance writer, and you start making some money and getting this thing, and you funnel it all into this software platform. I don't know, venture capital, personal friends and family, like just take the profits. Like, was that stressful for you, kind of getting that off the ground?
Yeah, it was really stressful. And we tried, getting VC, we tried going that route. I think for a while I thought that was the only way we could do it.
Hmm.
Or do it in a time frame that was sort of acceptable, to me at the time. But that we just, you know every day it seemed like there were more pressing problems to solve, either on the technology side or the customer side, where the pitching VCs kind of always took a back seat to it, to the point where we just finally, said, hey, this is not for us. Like, look how far we've gotten on our own. Like, let's let's put that aside, and really focus on building it. But yeah, I mean, early on, it was really stressful, because we went from, an agency with very predictable client retainers to all of a sudden now we're making money one assignment at a time.
Mm.
And for a lot of those agency clients, like it was quite a transition too, because they were used to, having a project manager. Things were a little bit more traditional in that sense, and that they were working with us in an agency capacity. And all of a sudden, we're saying, hey, you know, you can still have your same writers, but now they're on this platform, and here's how to use it, and here are the tools at your disposal going forward. So, for a lot of them, it made a lot of sense, and they appreciated like the flexibility that it gave them. Others, it was a tougher transition for them, but it was a really tough transition for us. But I'm glad we did it the way we did.
Yeah, and it's smart that you're
Yeah.
focused on serving agencies, maybe who took up some of those relationships, as well as the end customer. And you kind of give your client both options, right? They can do it yourself through the platform, or they can work through an agency, and that works really
Yeah, and
well.
we ended up keeping, the like a managed service component to the company. So for companies that really just didn't want, another tool to use, or, corralling, 8 to 10 freelancers on a monthly basis, we do offer managed services for those types of companies. But, we're just using the platform on their behalf, managing the writers through the system. So in that sense, like we're able to kind of stay true to the original mission while making the clients happy.
Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah.
wild entrepreneurial ride, kind of getting off the ground, getting to where you are now at the other side of that. So, kind of looking back, you and I probably both meet entrepreneurs who say, I got this great idea. All I need to do is get venture capital. I get $10 million. I'll make it happen. What advice do you give to those entrepreneurs who are saying, I got it. The only way to make it happen is through a VC?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great resources out there, of people that have built like the service business first and use that to, then go into technology. And that's the best and really only advice I can give is find a service that you can offer, and build, if you want to, build a solution that will, automate that. Um, for everybody, that's not always all that easy. For us, it was really beneficial because we were building a platform that we ourselves needed as an agency. So we were
Yeah.
using it every day, still continue to use it every day. So, I mean, it's not like we built, a payroll platform or, some advanced data analytics thing that we never use. We just build it. This was stuff where, every day the team was coming to me saying, hey, would love to have this workflow, would love to have this feature. So, um, you know, being able to use the product and need the product yourself, I think is, a great way to move forward with something like that.
Yeah. So what's your vision for Ndash? Just continued growth? Do you see it as, the platform that you're going to add other services to, or, how do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in it for the long haul. So going back to like the VC thing, I think early on, for me, there was this expectation that, you would raise funds, we'd double every 6 months, and we'd have a huge exit after 5 years. It's just, it's very rare, and not for everybody. So lately, we've kind of embraced the lifestyle, the bootstrapped,
Mhm.
component to this. So we're in it for the long haul. We've seen a lot of competitors already come and go. We're still here, still building. I think in terms of our focus, I think we're going to continue to focus on written content creation, because I don't see that going anywhere, in
Mhm.
terms of the importance to marketing teams. We have had discussions about building communities of designers or strategists or editors and things along those lines, which we may move forward with. But the focus is always going to be on helping great writers and brands that are looking for them.
Yeah, well, there's certainly a
Yeah.
need. I just got off a call with a client, and we're talking about their blog strategy and putting together an editorial calendar. And so, as a client of yours, we're definitely going to be reaching out and using some of those writers. So, but
Yeah, great. Yeah.
everybody has a need for written content on the web, and so there's definitely a need. Well, I'm sure your role has evolved quite a bit, from founder entrepreneur to now CEO of the company and running it. So how do you kind of view your role now? So what's most important to you now?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of float between all of the different departments. So I spend a lot of time on sales, I spend time on marketing, I spend time on product, even customer support. Like, it won't be uncommon for a user to, put in a ticket and have me respond. So I like staying, involved in all areas of the business. And, some quarters it's more marketing, some quarters it's more product. But, I do a little bit of everything here, and it's kind of the way I like it.
That's great. Is there
Yeah.
one area that you kind of like more than others? Do you like sales or product development? Or if you had to
Yeah,
choose?
personally, I like product development. I like, scoping the features, working with engineering to build the prototype. I like testing it, launching it, all the product marketing that kind of goes along with it, and obviously, collecting feedback from users on ways to improve it or figure out what's next. But for me, product is really the most fun because everything that's on our product roadmap is something that either a customer has kind of specifically asked for. So it allows me to focus on both the marketing of the product, but also learning about our users. It helps with relationship building. So product, I think if I had to pick one area to kind of stay in, that would be it.
Yeah, that's cool. So how did you learn that? I've always found that that's product marketing, I think, or product management is I think an undervalued but super important role in any product company.
Yeah.
Deciding on pricing and features and competitors. And how did you kind of grow into being good at that?
Well, I mean, I think we had a really specific vision for what the platform, was going to do, and what it needed to help our users do. I'm sure I didn't go about it in, a way that any product manager would look at, and say, yeah, that was the way to do it. I mean, I wrote it out, on paper. I drew a lot of the wireframes on paper. Um, I didn't do a ton of research into, how to best, scope a lot of this stuff. It was just, it was really just kind of, me taking a pass at it, and seeing what came from it. So I don't read much about, product development. I really just talk to the users. So I
Hmm.
mean, there are other platforms that I like that we borrow from, which I think is a good strategy. So, things like, onboarding flows, or, workflows or notifications, like all the nitty gritty stuff. Like you probably use 10 to 15 platforms per day that you can borrow some of those things for. So not a lot of it is like, super original in terms of like, like some of the look and feel of some of it. So we're just kind of piecing it together, but doing it for the user. So that ends up resulting in something good for everybody.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about the kind of the tension between kind of looking at what your competitors are doing, kind of chasing your competitors and figuring out what they're doing, adding the new feature that they've got versus talking to your customers and understanding the features that they're using and actually asking for? Seems like as you're building your product organically, those might be in tension. How do you kind of think about it?
Yeah, we were really, we watched our competitors very closely to start. And we did make the mistake of trying to, build a lot of what our competitors had. But what we found is that, a lot of those features just kind of went unused. And the ones that they really wanted, our competitors might not necessarily have had. So, it's been a while since I looked at any of the other platforms to kind of see what they're doing. I mean, we keep an eye on some of the launches and things like that, but it's not like we're going in there and making a list of features that we need to recreate for ourselves. It's really just based on user feedback and our own internal insights and analytics, to kind of figure out, how to get people further along that funnel.
Yeah, well, you've been very
Yeah.
successful at it and built a great product and platform. So it's you've done a really nice job with that. One of the things we've been thinking about here at Now Speed a lot is how we're changing the world. And so we're as an agency, doing marketing. Does marketing really change the world? And so we've kind of thought about like changing the world through the work of our clients. How do you think about changing the world? Is it the work of N-Dash to change the world? Do you think about changing the world just through, your family, or do you think about philanthropic causes? How do you kind of think about your
Yeah.
impact here on this planet?
Well, I mean, I think, in our space, the gig economy has kind of gotten a bad rap. And a lot of that is deserved. So, if you did like a word association with gig economy, people would think of, food delivery or, drivers or Mechanical Turk, like really low paying types of roles. And I think for N-Dash, we want to show that there's more upside to the gig economy than you may have, been led to believe.
Hmm.
So for us, it's getting writers, more money, better rates, like legit clients. Like that's kind of how we're going about doing that. Um, and for us, it's great because every time we win, it means, a writer's just gotten paid for an assignment, or they've just got a new client that they hadn't had before. So it's a pretty rewarding, type of business. And I think that's, if I had to say, how are we making the world a better place? Like we're, helping to put food on the table for a lot of these writers and their families. And I think that's the most we can expect to do, I think.
Yeah, well, that's really
Yeah.
cool. You're enabling like lifestyles for all these, hundreds or thousands of people, in a big way that lets them live the life and use the skills that they've got in the most productive way possible.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool mission. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to get in touch with you, use the product, how would they connect with you?
Yep, they can just email me. It's mike@ndash.com. And if they want to sign up or learn more about the platform or service, just ndash.com. That's NDASH, not the actual dash.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and happy to chat with whoever's looking to kind of build a better remote writing team.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really good conversation. I kind of anticipated the content marketing side, but you've had such an entrepreneurial journey that was really good to hear a lot of what you've gone through. So thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem at all. Happy to chat.
All right. Enjoy your time today. Take care.
All
Thanks
right.
again for
Thank
joining.
you.
All right.